Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is March 13th, 2025, and Barcelona have surpassed their budget for the Champions League, and that's of course great news, and I'm going to tell you why. Also, Frenkie de Jong has now agreed to sit down and negotiate with Barcelona his contract extension, and finally, it looks like Luis Diaz could end up staying at Liverpool. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we'll begin this video with the news that Dortmund's coach Niko Kovac, I think it's Kovac. If you know how to pronounce it correctly, let me know in the comment section. But it has spoken about the upcoming match between Barcelona and the German team, because of course we do have Dortmund that we're going to be facing in the quarterfinals, and this is what the Dortmund coach had to say. It's nice because we worked together. He was my assistant, talking about Flick, and now we're competing against each other. It's a great club, a special team with amazing players. We'll need to get a good result in the first match. Hansi was with me when I was a player at Salzburg, and then we worked together as coaches in Munich. Also, Tonita, his brother, works on my coaching staff, so you could say it will be a bit of a family reunion, but it certainly won't be an easy outing. In the quarterfinals, anything is possible, and any team can reach the semifinals, so we hope we are the ones who qualify. Now, sorry, Nico, but I don't hope you're the ones who qualify. Of course, I want Barcelona to qualify, but as Nico pointed out, of course, him and Flick came up together. They were players together at Salzburg. They coached together at Bayern Munich. Hansi Flick was his assistant. Eventually, Flick replaced him, and it seems that Flick's brother still works with Niko Kovac, and the two will now be facing each other in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, which I think will be a very exciting match. Of course, Flick so far remains undefeated against Dortmund. He has won 6 out of 6 matches, 5 of them with Bayern Munich. I think 4 in the Bundesliga and 1 in the German Cup. I don't know what it's called. I do know, I just can't remember. And of course, the 6th match being this season in group stages of the Champions League. So Flick has won 6 out of 6 matches, and hopefully that will make it 8 out of 8 matches in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Now, speaking of Germans, we do have to talk about Noah Darvich, because the youngster has been training with the first team, and it's surprising. Now, you might say, why is it surprising that the 18-year-old Barca midfielder has been training with the first team? Well, it has to do that he's actually been struggling for minutes with Barca Athletic. You know, Noah Darvich was signed under the premise that he was going to be the next best thing out of Germany as far as midfielders. He has not lived up to those expectations at Barca Athletic. In fact, he's been struggling for minutes during this season under the new coach, Sergi Mila. There's only been 2 matches, but both matches he was on the bench. With the first match, he didn't play a single minute. The second match, he came on at the 68th minute. And this season, he has only participated in 18 matches. Only 8 out of those he has started, with the rest being coming off the bench. But despite struggling for minutes with Barca Athletic, he still remains a key player for Germany's under-19 team. And Hansi Flick continues to call him up to the first team. So it seems that Flick sees something in the player. And hey, who am I to question Flick? As we've seen, he can bring the best out of any player. So if he can bring the best out of Ferran Torres, I'm sure he'll be able to bring the best out of Noah Darvich. All right, now speaking of midfielders, we will move on to our... Oh, I just realized I completely missed something, because speaking of the Champions League, it's reported that Barcelona have surpassed their budget, or their projections by 7 million euros. Now, this is very important. Why? At the beginning of every season, a club will have a projection of how much money they think they're going to make versus how much money they think they're going to spend. And then they project at the end of the fiscal year, which ends in June 30th, they're either going to have a profit, meaning they generated more money than they spent, or maybe it's they break even, meaning they spend as much as they earned, or of course it could be losses, meaning that they spent more than they brought in, something that Barcelona have been doing for many, many years under Bartomeu. But under this projection, Barcelona had actually estimated a 7 million euro profit, which is a very small profit margin, but nonetheless, it's important to remain in the green, or in other words, it's important to continue to record profits in order to stay under the 1-1 rule and have good financial fair play. But the problem with the projection was, of course, that part of those projections were that Barcelona were going to return to the Camp Nou. That's not going to happen this season. And as a result, Barcelona are going to lose 28 million euros. So that would bring us into the red, into losses. Now, Barcelona are going to have to make up those 28 million euros to end the fiscal year in profits. Of course, part of it is going to be from the sale of Vitor Roque, Nico Gonzalez. And now it's reported that Barcelona have exceeded their projections for the money made from the Champions League by 7 million euros. Now, I did discuss in a previous video that Barcelona have earned so far 101.5 million euros. That's 7 million euros more than what Barcelona were projecting they were going to make in the Champions League. And we still have to play the quarterfinals. And if we continue advancing, that extra is only going to keep increasing. And the more money we make above our projections, the more we'll be able to make up the losses from not going back to the Camp Nou. And the more likely we'll end the year profitable, because again, very important as far as financial fair play and remaining under the 1-1 rule. All right, now that we've discussed that, let's get back to talking about midfielders, because ladies and gentlemen, Frenkie de Jong has agreed to sit down with the club and negotiate his contract. Now, Frenkie de Jong's contract expires in the summer of 2026. Barcelona sent him a contract renewal that went unanswered for a year and a half, where the player was not picking up the phone, was refusing to meet with Barcelona. Finally, Barcelona decided to rescind that offer and told the player that offer is no longer valid. If you want to renew, you have to come to us and you have to agree to reduce your salary. Only for 2 weeks later, Barcelona decided to cower and make a mockery out of itself, and instead sent Frenkie de Jong another contract renewal, this one until 2029, and promising him the same exact salary, even though Barcelona had said that Frenkie needed to reduce his salary if he wanted to stay. And now, of course, since the team is doing well, since Frenkie is getting minutes, all of a sudden Frenkie de Jong found his cell phone. Apparently it was lost for the past year and a half, and he found it magically, and now he has decided to answer Barcelona's call, and he is eager to renew. How fucking convenient. Anyways, now Frenkie, of course, has been having a great form under Flick. I think Flick is, unlocking Frenkie de Jong, but either way, I think it's a big mistake for Barcelona to renew him. Not because Frenkie is not good enough or not skilled enough. Obviously, he's proven that he is. He's more than good enough to be on Barcelona's team, but it's just after what he did to the club, after how he has treated the club, I don't think he deserves to remain at Barcelona. And more importantly, how weak does Barcelona look now? They threaten the player. They're like, oh, we're not going to renew you until you come to us. And they're like, sorry, actually, please still come back to us, please. Just absolutely pathetic. Anyways, let's move on, because we do have to talk about Luis Diaz, who looks like will be staying at Liverpool. Now, as we know from previous videos that I made, Deco's favorite option to reinforce the left wing is Luis Diaz. Deco was going to see whether he could try to sign Luis Diaz during this summer, because Luis Diaz was having a problem extending his contract with Liverpool, which expires in 2027. Liverpool were prioritizing other renewals like Mo Salah and Van Dijk. Also, Luis Diaz has an incredibly low salary. He wanted a higher salary, something that Liverpool was not able to promise him because of their financial fair play. But now it looks like all has changed, because A, it looks like Mo Salah is not going to renew with Liverpool, and B, it looks like Liverpool either about to sign or have signed a new deal with Adidas, and that has given Liverpool a lot more financial fair play, which will allow them to extend the contract of Luis Diaz. So it seems that Deco's favorite option will not be coming to the club. It looks like he will be remaining at Liverpool, which honestly, I don't think it's a big loss. I think Luis Diaz is a great player, but as I've said before, Liverpool are going to want an arm and a leg, and to pay an arm and a leg for a player who's the same age as Rafinha just doesn't make sense to me, because not that they're old or anything, they're both in their prime, but to have two players, same age, aging at the same time, and eventually both of them are going to get old at the same time, then you're going to find yourself having to replace two players instead of one. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you have a player in his prime, the logical thing is to sign someone who's younger, so when that player who's in his prime, Rafinha, gets old, the younger player can then take his place versus having two players in their prime and then both of them getting old at the same time, and now you have to get rid of both of them and replace both of them all at the same time. To me, doesn't make sense. Anyways, let's end this video with the brief news that Joshua Kimmich has extended his contract with Bayern Munich until 2029. Thank God. And I say thank God because I've been tired of reading headline after headline. Barcelona's target, Joshua Kimmich. Barcelona's target, Joshua Kimmich. Guys, Kimmich has not been Barcelona's target for a very long time. Yes, he was Barcelona's target when Xavi was here because Xavi constantly wanted Kimmich. When Flick arrived, he saw Bernal, he saw Casado. He's like, I don't need Kimmich. And since then, Barcelona has not thought about Kimmich, but yet that has not stopped the press of saying Barcelona's target, Barcelona's target. So hopefully now they'll stop calling Joshua Kimmich Barcelona's target now that he has renewed until 2029. With Bayern. All right, that is all the news for this video. I did upload another video before this one. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Peace, Barca.